Hi, and welcome to Fabric Bias. It is Monday, June 10th, 2024, and this was my project for yesterday because it's about, I think, 1:30 in the morning right now on that. And they are fabric file folders, not my idea originally. This idea I got from Sewspire a long time ago, and I've actually made them before, and I just decided I've been organizing and trying to think of ways to organize, and of course I love to sew. So it came back into my mind, and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Now, I haven't watched her video in a while. I did watch a little bit of it just to get started. And so I would encourage you. It's a good video. I have watched it before because I have sewn these before. If I were you, I would go out and watch that video. She does a great job on that. So mine, I'm sewing a little bit different way that she sewed them. I know that she comes out with a flat folder like the original. I'm going to call these paper folders, even though I know they're not paper. And the ones I'm doing are boxed. And I'll show you all of that in a minute. So I want to show you a couple of features about these folders as well. So if you look at these folders, the paper ones, you actually get the option to use these tabs, and you slide them into these little slots. And on that, I don't actually use these even on the paper folders. I know a lot of people do, and so I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I'm not going to try it because it's too much work for me. It's not something I would do. But my thought was, if you wanted to do this, you might try maybe making buttonholes. You could use this as a guide, and you could make buttonholes. And then try that and see if that will hold this in place. It might be too loose. I'm not sure. And again, I'm not going to try it, but that's my thought. If you do that, though, you're going to want to do that before you stitch down this flap here. There's a fold over here. That's creating a channel, and if you do your buttonholes after you stitch it down, you'll close the channel. So you have to sew your buttonholes before you put the flap in place on that. So what I like to do on my file folders is I actually just use a Post-it upside down, and I stick it onto the file folder, and then I write on it. Well, I write on it first, and then I stick it on the file folder. Post-its won't stick, though, really well to fabric. I tried it. I thought, well, how am I going to make that work if that's what I want to do? And I'm not going to go and do this on all my folders. I didn't do it on any of these, but I just wanted to see if I could figure it out. So I did. What I did was I took a piece of vinyl, and hopefully I can get it to glisten for you so you can see it right there on that. And I sewed a piece of vinyl right across here. And then it does hold. It holds my Post-it really nicely on that. So I have an option for the future if I decide I want to go that route. Not doing it right now. Not something I want to do. But again, if you want to do that, then the way you do that is you're going to take your piece of fabric, and then once you have it pressed over, which I'll show you that step in a minute, you're going to sew the vinyl on here before you sew this down again. And what you're going to do is open it up, line your vinyl against the fold, and stitch underneath the fold and on the vinyl to stitch it on. The bottom you don't have to stitch on until actually you get ready to close this, but the top you want to do that, because if you don't, you end up with a narrower channel, and then this will stick up slightly. This side will stick up slightly above this side, which maybe what you want on that. So one other thing you can do to label your file folders is just use a medium binder clip and put it right on there. And then you can put a label right here on top, and you can move them all over wherever you want. And they come in different colors too. So just another thought. Okay, so let me show you what I did and how I actually sewed these ones. So, and again, I would say go out to Sewspire and take a look at her video and see how she did this first, because she has a really good video on this. So my cuts, what I opted to do is I opted to do 12.5 inches, a 12.5 inch cut by width of fabric. And I took that, and it didn't matter. Whatever piece of fabric I used whatever that width was, because I know that I'm building in depth into my folders, and I was just going to go with whatever depth the width of fabric gave me on that one. If you want an exact one, if you want them all, if you're using all different cuts of fabric and you want them all the same, then you should cut them. You're going to want to cut your width down to be identical on all your pieces. on that. So all you do on this is I took that width of fabric and I folded in half, right sides together, and then I put a 1-inch piece of Pellon 808 or 809, I can't remember which, the longer one, 1/4 of an inch down, and I just eyeballed it from each end, and I pressed it in place. And you'll also notice that they're a little bit shorter from the ends, and the reason for that is, I think it's the 809 that is the longer or wider cut. And so I just took that width and I cut it into 4 pieces. That's what I used for my width here, because it was almost exactly the right size for what I needed. And that way I'm using I'm kind of using my interfacing a little bit more efficiently that way, because I don't need it to go all the way to the ends on that. And I'm not, so once you get your cut done and you got your Pellon in place, and you got it nicely lined up with your edges matching here and here, you're just going to sew up this, backstitch to start. Sew all the way up this side until you get to the corner here. Turn your corner back. Well, I always backstitch my corners. A lot of people don't do that. So if I backstitch, turn the corner and backstitch again. I only know one other sewer in all the videos that I've watched. I've only seen one other sewist do that. And but it's kind of the thing that I do. And then you're going to come over here. Somewhere in here, you're going to leave a pretty generous turning gap, maybe about 4 inches. And the reason for that is it's just easier to get all the fabric through, and it doesn't make a difference if you make a shorter one versus a longer one in the final look of it, because you're going to close it anyway. You're not going to be able to see it, so you might as well make it easier for yourself to get your fabric through, and then you don't have to worry about busting your seams as you're trying to get your fabric through. But anyways, sew through, make a big turning gap, backstitch again here, come to the corner, turn, backstitch if you like to do that, and then come all the way back down to this end and stop. And then you're going to clip your corners, all 4 of your corners. Clip those so that when you turn it through, you'll get a nicer point on your corner. And then you just turn it right side out on it. Once you've turned it right side out, then you're going to press it again so it's nice and neat and flat. And then you're going to turn down the ends to the inside. Now, you're taking a piece of fabric and you're folding it in half. So it probably, like on this one, it doesn't matter which side you choose to be on the inside, but you need to look at your image here and decide if it does make a difference, which is inside or which is outside. That's the only thing that's going to matter, is what you think. What side looks better inside, what side looks better outside. But you're going to turn these in to the inside. Now this is the point where if you're going to do the buttonholes to hold in these little tabs here, you would put your buttonholes in at this point here. Or if you're going to put the vinyl on, this is the point where you would put the vinyl on here. And you only put vinyl on one side. And the same thing with the buttonholes. You don't need them. These have them on both sides. On that. And I guess if you want to put them on both sides, you can. But I don't see the need to do that, but maybe someone else does. I don't use those. So maybe someone else would have a reason why you would put them on both sides. Same thing with the vinyl, but you would put that in on at this point. And then you're just going to take here and you're going to top stitch right down the length here. And that's going to look like, let me see which one is nice and bright, this one. So that's going to look like that. And I like to do a real close top stitch and then a second one, because this is this is the stitching that's going to be holding all of that weight. And so I want it to be really secure. So I do 2 rows of stitching away from each other on it. I do actually like the way that looks too on it. So once you've done that, you're going to lay this out and you're going to measure from each end. So you're going to take from this end, you're going to measure in 9 1/8 and you're going to mark a line, and then you're going to go from this side and measure 9 1/8 and mark a line. And so for me, if you look, these 2 fabrics are different sizes on that. So the gap in the middle is bigger on this one because it's a bigger piece of fabric on that, which means I'm going to have a bigger opening, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted a bunch of different sizes. So once you've got that marked, you're just going to take it. Now again, and oh, I'm sorry, you're working on the outside of your fabric at this point. On that, so your turn's on this side. And you're going to take it and fold it so the outside is out. And you're going to fold along that line. And you can actually press that if you want. I didn't. I did on the first one, and then I didn't find it necessary. As long as you're on that line and you stay on your line, then you're just going to do a top stitch right along there to make a line and box it. Let me show you that here. So, and it looks like that. And then you do both sides and you end up with a nice box like this. And so that's what I've done with all of these. And you can see that I had varying widths of fabric to begin with, and that varied the size of the gap that I had. So this little guy right here is probably what this one's going to end up looking like. And then this big one right here is probably what this one's going to end up looking like on that. And that gives me different depths of folders that I can put more or less things in. Oh, I just dumped all my tabs out. So pop those back in. Okay, so there it is on that. I hope you like it. I hope that wherever and whenever you're at, you're having a great time. And thanks for watching.